Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Williams. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is, at Egberto Williams. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Williams, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show today. We are going to have a great show for you today. We have two very important topics to discuss today, and one is, when we talk about real time, when we talk about what is really happening in this country, when we talk about the real issues, many times people look at it in an abstract fashion. Well, you know what? Today, what we're going to bring to you is not the abstract fashion. What we're going to bring to you is real, because we have somebody in the house right now that is going to explain that the policies of this administration, it has human repercussions. The policies of this administration has human repercussions. Anyhow, title of the show today: Trump deporting Vietnamese is the first part. Understand Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is the second part of our program. Tien Nguyen gives us scoop on Trump deporting Vietnamese citizens. And let's understand Alexandria Cortez. That is the subtitle. In our first segment today, we discuss an underreported story. Our media continues to cover issues superficially without realizing that in keeping Americans poorly informed, much goes under the radar. I got a press release from a local Asian American and Pacific Islander advocacy organization who made me aware that the Trump administration was disrupting the lives of some of our Vietnamese citizens. I could not sit on it and immediately contacted them. We were booked for the first part of the week, so I got them the first spot that we could get in to make sure we got this issue on the table. In the second segment, we will cover Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Jim Rigby, a minister at St. Andrew's Presbyterian Church in Austin, Texas, wrote a piece that will be the blog of the week for today. He hits the nail on the head. We will analyze the response Alexandria Cortez has been getting from the right as well as the center left. Tien Nguyen, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
I am doing great. Look, first of all, thank you guys for sending that information, that press release that you sent out. I don't want to say I was very excited, because this is really not something to be excited about. This is something that affects people. So firsthand, why don't you first introduce yourself and tell us who you are?
Hi, I'm Tien Nguyen. I'm a part of Happy Youth, which is Houston Asian Americans Pacific Islander advocacy group, mainly targeted towards students and youth minorities in Houston. And what we do is we advocate for Asian American and Pacific Islander representation in both politics and just civic engagement in general. So I am, I guess, an organizer of the Southeast Asian Rally happening in Houston this Saturday. And we are trying to promote as much people to come support and stand in solidarity with our Vietnamese community because our rights are being obstructed at the moment.
Okay, now tell me, first of all, and I hate to ask this question, but just seeing you and watching you in action and getting all this information from you, I got excited. You are a millennial, is that correct? Or you're a Gen Z?
Yeah.
Which one?
I'm unsure where I am. A lot of people tell me I'm a millennial, and then others tell me I'm in between. I was born in 2000, so I am a baby.
Okay. That is what I wanted to know. And the reason I got excited is, I'm a political activist for decades now. And to see young people take the mantle and young people go out there and fight for rights, it is exciting because it is something that has to be done again. So before we get into your specific issue, what really got you into saying, I am going to go out there and I'm not going to just take what's given, I'm going to go take what's mine?
Well, first off, I just kind of grew up very rebellious and questioning authority throughout my whole life. that started slowly translating into politics once I got into feminism and social justice work. And I would like to give thanks to like Stephen and Donna and March for Our Lives for allowing me and opening these amazing opportunities and doors for me to be an activist. I just think that, in this world, we have a lot of suffering going on. And if we could somewhat memorialize it for everyone, because we are all human beings, that would be a great start to improving and moving forward.
Well, that's excellent. So, what else are you doing? Because I want the disease that you have right now, that disease of activism, to be contagious. So, tell me, how can programs like ours encourage the youth, people your age, people in your generation, to move forward? Because, like I said, when I saw the press release and when I kind of got a hold that this was a group of young activists, I said, you guys had to be on, and you guys had to have a presence, and people had to know who you are.
I understand. I think for me, and I think for a lot of us, it's discontentment. This discontentment with the state of our nation, is discontentment with how we've seen things run for time and time again, and we're tired, and we want to break that cycle, and we want to start anew. I speak to a lot of the other activists, young activists, and students, and it's basically the same narrative of we're tired of being treated this way. We've seen this happen over and over again, and people keep on getting screwed over and over again. So we want to be able to be that change for ourselves and our future.
Well, look, I love that answer. So just keep that up, and let me open the door here and tell you that politics done right, at any given time that you guys have anything to put out, at any given times that you guys have that you want to be here, you let me know. Whether it's here on Politics Done Right Daily or at KPFT Studios, I'd love to have a group of you in the studio with me at KPFT in Montrose to discuss some of these youth issues further. So look at your calendar, and sometime I want to hear from you guys again. But let's talk a little bit about the particular issue that you're really here for, which is about the deportation of Vietnamese citizens, even after the agreement that we signed with Vietnam, I believe, in 2008. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. So what we're going to be discussing is the 2008 repatriation agreement between Vietnam and the U.S. that was signed on January 22nd, 2008. And basically what it establishes is friendly relations between the U.S. and Vietnamese Vietnamese immigrants specifically, and those who came through U.S. for one reason or another. But it states that any Vietnamese immigrants who immigrate here have a chance of being deported back if they are charged of any type of felony or something that offended the U.S. And it basically says that it specifies per case, depending on the type of individual, the type of lives they've lived, and how long they've been living here. The 2008 agreement also states that immigrants who came here before July 12th, 1995 are protected under this because of, possibilities that they might have been running away from communism.
Right.
And the U.S. did this to establish friendly relations, but when they are at this point pushing Vietnam to renegotiate this treaty and relook over it and kind of forcing them to do it, it's kind of a violation of diplomatic relations. And on top of that, it's a violation of human rights at this point, because many of these immigrants who migrated here at 1995, before 1995, they have lived full lives and they have families. Most of them probably live families now. And what they forget to mention in media, I believe, is these people who committed felonies before 1995 have served their time justly and have done their due to the system, and they have no reason to be deported back once they've already served their justice to the U.S.
So let me see if I understand this correctly, and I want to make sure that all our audience get it right. There are some, just like within any community, some people have been afoul of the law, okay, and they've served their time, and all is fine. They've been here under that treaty for decades, okay. Now that the Trump administration is in their zeal to throw people out of this country, when they decide to say, oh, there's somebody commits a felony, they look at somebody who was here before 1995, who may have had some sort of a record, irrespective of what that record is, and tell them they may be living a great life now with a family, kids, and working as an engineer, a lawyer, or whatever, but they had some issues, that now they will violate that treaty, and just because of that felony or misdemeanor, throw them out of the country. Is that correct? And I think I understand that 8 people have already been thrown out.
Yes, so it's either deported or detained by ICE and wrongfully detained by that. They would keep them for days on end, months, and not give them the proper treatment that they deserve. And basically, you nailed it on the head when you were saying how these people have families now, they live their own lives. And at this point, I think the Trump administration is just trying to target any type of immigrant they can to push out this narrative of we're going to keep our country protected and as Americanized as possible.
Well, what people don't understand, and I mean, this is a what I like to call it is it's a clean form of ethnic cleansing. And I wish more people would start naming what we have from the Trump administration. The Trump administration is trying to find an antiseptic manner in which they can have ethnic cleansing. They're not going to do it like they did it in Bosnia-Herzegovina, or they did it in Nagorno-Karabakh or these other places. They want to ensure that the ethnic cleansing is done in a way that looks sort of dignified.
Yep, I definitely agree. I didn't know how far we could go with using terms like that, so I didn't want to put it out there, but I think you put it just perfectly.
This is politics done right. We demand honest speak.
Wonderful. That's all I could give.
Now, tell us a little bit about your rally and what is the rally going to be all about? And have you gotten alliances to go into the rally with you?
We only have Happy Youth as a sponsor right now. Our rally is going to be this Saturday, January 12th at 10 a.m. in Bel Air, the heart of Little Saigon and Asia Town in general. If you guys know where the Vietnamese memorial is, where the statues are, it's going to be held right in front of it. And what we're going to have elected representatives speak. We're going to have impactees speak. We're going to have their family members speak and tell us how disheartening it's been for them to have the fear of, having one of the family members being ripped apart. We're going to have, who else speak? Some other individuals that are being affected by this, either indirectly or directly. And we're going to have a march and chants and petitions and a call to action for people who really want to support the community.
That is wonderful. Now, now that we've discussed a little bit of the issue, tell me a little bit about. I imagine you are a born American. Is that correct? So
I am actually a Vietnamese immigrant myself, and I came here, I think, around 2003 to 2004. So this kind of is a personal issue to me because it kind of hits close to home, because if we're violating the rights of Vietnamese immigrants that have long stayed here for decades now, what does that say for me and my future, right?
Yeah, actually, it does put in, and let me just give a little a statement as well. I am a naturalized Panamanian citizen. In other words, I came from Panama, Central America, and was naturalized here. And there are several times that we sit down and we think, and I've discussed this with my wife before, hey, suppose they decided that now that they've made it legal to revoke citizenships. I mean, how far can they go? So what you guys are doing is so important to nip it in the butt. One of the things that I tell born Americans and some of the folks that like to consider themselves Native Americans is that the only Native Americans are those the natives of this country. So none of us, immigrants, whoever we are, white, black, Asian, whomever you are, should feel the same honor, the same rights to this country as anybody else, and the only person we should ever have to listen to, if you will, are natives. Period. Mm-hmm. So I mean, go ahead.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think natives have a right to this land, and the fact that we have been mistreating them too is very heartbreaking. And I wish we could, treat this soil and this country with the type of respect that I'm sure they would love to see, and I'm sure everybody would like to see a little bit more harmony.
Absolutely. So, well, look, let me tell you, it was my pleasure having you, Ms. Nguyen. But let me just ask before we leave for you to tell me or give me any information you would like to add to your commentary, whether it is about this march or anything in the progressive space or anything in any space that you'd like to comment on, because I want to give you your platform to say as you please.
Since we are speaking about the truth, we have reached out to certain local Vietnamese media lately, and the responses for that have been very tough to deal with because they are expecting some type of funding for us to broadcast certain community issues that affect us personally. And I feel like that speaks volume to how we see each other as people and how we treat each other as Americans in this country. Everybody's just always trying to look out for themselves and what they can benefit and this and that. But how about we look out for each other, because, we are a community, we support each other through thick and thin. And I just wanted to say that I hope more people can care more about issues like this, whether immigrants, whether Native rights that we were talking about, just overall in general, because these are, human rights at risk. And the rally is about family separation, but it's more about human rights, in my opinion. Just because you can't just rip someone out of their livelihood, a life they've known all the time, and then put them into a country where they're kind of foreign to, right?
That is so true. I mean, and that is disheartening when we talk about the immigration issue. That what Donald Trump is attempting to do with many communities is send people back to countries they really have no clue about. In many instances, a language that many can't even speak. And I think that is a crime against humanity. And I think if we started defining terms and not being scared of using terms, you not being scared and coming on to Politics Done Right and saying, Egberto, what the president is doing is nothing less than ethnic cleansing. I want people to start speaking the way the right wingers speak. They over dramatize. Progressives tend to under dramatize. The president is an ethnic cleanser, and let's let that be known. And thank you so kindly, Tien Nguyen, for being on here. And last comment.
Yeah, I'm honored to be here. I really am. This is my first interview ever, so thank you for letting me take that first step as an activist to finally have an interview with someone. But I do want to promote the rally one more time, if that's okay with you.
Yes.
Okay, so we do have a Facebook link. You could just search up Southeast Vietnamese Rally in Houston, and the date is going to be January 12th, this upcoming Saturday at 10 a.m. to 11. We're going to march, we're going to chant, we're going to listen to impactees and families speak about this impacting them, and representatives out there. Everybody's just going to stand in solidarity and support, and we hope everybody comes out to sign the petition and be a part of the movement that is, progress, right?
Absolutely. So look, it really was my pleasure to have you here with us. Please keep up doing the good work, because it will be rewarded. What you're doing is very important work. So please continue to do so. We need the youth. You keep encouraging others to do the same. And let me let you know again, you guys, I don't care about the mainstream media. You guys have a media outlet in Politics Done Right. So thank you so kindly, and you have a wonderful day.
Thank you. You too. Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Folks, that was Tien Nguyen. Look, that is wonderful. I mean, I am excited. Democracy is what it's all about, people. Democracy. I'm excited that we could get this young woman on. This young woman came on and she made a statement. She's taking care of business. We have to encourage the youth to do what many times we hadn't done. but they're doing it. But the second part of the program today, and again, thank you very much, Miss Nguyen. You did a wonderful job. And first time interview, I don't know I think all that talking that you've probably been doing in the field worked out perfectly. Anyhow, do you know what time it is? And I'm not going to push the do you know what time it is button right now because we've been having some issues with this particular thing. And by the way, folks, you can give us a call at 646-716-5812. Again, that number is 646-716-5812. Now, the blog of the week. The blog of the week was not written by me this time. The blog of the week was written by Jim Rigby. I sent him a text after. Actually, what happened is the president of Coffee Party sent me a link to Jim's piece. And I read the piece and I said, oh, wow, love it. And in fact, I think I'm going to write a blog framing this, using this as a frame for my Sunday article for Daily Coast. That's what I may go ahead and do because I think it's that the sentiment in there is that good. The title of his piece was How to Hear What Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is saying. How to hear what Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is saying. And after the blog of the week, I would love for some of you to call in 646-716-5812. Again, that number is 646-716-5812. Here's what he goes. Title, How to Hear What Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is Saying by Jim Rigby. And he says, let me first tell you, he is a minister at St. Andrew's Presbyterian Church in Austin, Texas. And this is what he says. It is perfectly fine to disagree with radical thinkers, but it is something else to be so propagandized by the dominant culture that we can't really hear what they're saying. And a lot of us have that problem or feel that. We're talking. We know what is right and we're trying to communicate it. But the indoctrination is such that nobody is listening. So how do we get them to listen? Continuing. There is no question Representative Ocasio-Cortez has a steep learning curve. There is no question she will make many mistakes. But she is being attacked by liberals as well as conservatives, and many of the attacks misstate her position. I believe that it is because many of us on both sides of the aisle are afraid of hearing what this young woman has to say. And I wholeheartedly believe that. They are scared of what she's saying because what happens is even on the liberal side, they will realize how far liberalism has fallen, so far that it's no longer liberalism, no longer progressivity. Here are a few suggestions on how to hear the context from which Representative Ocasio-Cortez is speaking to us, says Mr. Rigby. She is speaking as a radical. When Ocasio-Cortez uses the word radical, she does not mean extremist. She means someone who tries to get past political dualism and find the roots of our problems. That means she believes the answer to our problems cannot be found by polarizing our corrupt system and choosing the better of two sides. And I must admit, for a long time, that is what I've been asking many people to do. Choose the best of two evils. Choose the best of two evils. That's all we've got. Well, choosing the best of two evils for too long, finally gave us Donald Trump. Because the people that we've been telling, vote the best of both evils, please do it. It'll get better. It'll get better for a lot. It didn't. And for those 20% that have always been doing well and continue to do well and continue to do marginally well, I'll go into that later on. A radical isn't fooled by political labels. Instead of a melodrama of the good team against the bad team, a radical analyzes the system itself and asks simply who has power and who does not. Someone who values principles over their own party is not a traitor to that party. Unfortunately, many Bernie supporters have been treated like traitors to the Democratic Party. And that has hurt more than it has helped. Because what it has done, it has lost Democrats a lot of potential citizens, a lot of potential Democrats. Because after the treatment that many of these people got, instead of saying, well, we just lost this one, they say, to hell with these people, because how different are they than the others? Let's just call it. They are what we used to call statesmen. Again, repeating. Someone who values principles over their party is not a traitor. They are what we used to call statesmen. The preacher may be a bit dated because we should say state person in these days, right? State person. The young stateswoman understands that getting rid of Trump is essential. She is not making false equivalence between the parties. She is looking for the roots of the common standard that will be fair to everyone, especially the most vulnerable. Most of all of us agree the system is rigged, right? So why do let our leaders continually convince us to keep playing by the same rules? And we've gone into that several times, from capitalism to et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I've had a whole program on capitalism where I've gotten hell. Oh, we are capitalists in this country. What kind? I don't care what you call it. Whatever the system is today, it's not working for most Americans. And it doesn't matter what the TV says. It doesn't matter all what the people who control our media makes you believe. It's not working for most Americans. Most Americans are just making it. They're living to work. It's like the only purpose of their life is to work. It's to work. Where's the happiness? Where's the Denmark? Where's the Switzerland? Where's the Sweden? Where's the Norway? Whatever system we end up will be a hybrid, different approaches. What is so bad about having someone who actually stands in the corner of the working poor, even if that means she needs to embarrass those of us liberals who have found a comfortable niche in the hierarchy of oppression? That's a valiant statement. That is a valiant statement. She is speaking as a woman. If you hadn't noticed it, the good old boys are freaking out at her refusal to be deferential. Why should she be deferential? What have they done for her? Why should she go into this Congress and be deferential to a whole bunch of people who pass policies that put her generation in debt that they'll never recover from? You see, we are asking these young people coming into Congress to be deferential to a whole bunch of people who screwed their lives and their futures. We should have to do that, or they shouldn't have to do that. Nor do I want them to do that. I want them to be in your face. I want them to be in my face. Why didn't you do that? Why did you leave us to the dogs? Why were you selfish? But we'll talk about that later. Look, some people try to discredit her by showing her dancing with abandon, but the video went viral. Representative Ocasio-Cortez is brilliant, strong, joyful, brown, and fearless. In other words, she is white patriarchy's worst nightmare. I mean, I found that particular statement very interesting coming from a preacher, a white Protestant preacher. And I was like, wow, he gets it. And not only does he get it, but he has the wherewithal to say it, and to his congregation and others. It is wonderful when we can put honesty in our words, just like I was telling Miss Nguyen a few minutes ago. Anyhow, continuing. She speaks as a person of color. Representative Ocasio-Cortez makes many white liberals and conservatives alike uncomfortable because they want racial justice, but don't want to understand that justice will mean a major redistribution of power in this nation. And I want to correct something from the preacher, because I said this on a little note that I gave to one of my friends who had a little note. I told her, I gave her the story about Bob Johnson, who was the founder of BET, and I heard him on CNBC, and he sounded no different than any other plutocrat, any other oligarch. What am I trying to say here? We are going to, I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to make that change. We're going, and caller, I'm going to be coming to you in a second. We're going to have to make that change in the way we talk, because the white patriarchy is going to have to become a symbolic title, not a racial title. And I'll cover that in another program. But if you go ahead and look at the Chinese billionaires or the black billionaires or the African billionaires, they share more in common as billionaires in their thought process, in what's good and what's bad, and who's lazy and who's deserving. There is no difference between them and what we call white supremacy, white patriarchy. And that is why I stick to my phrase, when we unite Appalachia, the ghettos, and the barrios, we would have won. Because the power structure is not racial. Racially, things were used to control. But the power is not racial. The power is financial. The power is capital, and ensuring that only a few maximize on capital as we keep the peons working. With the 20%, of course, guarding the gates to keep the 80% from revolting. That's another program. All right. She speaks as a person of color. Representative Ocasio-Cortez makes many white liberals and conservatives alike uncomfortable because they want racial justice but don't want to understand that justice will mean a major redistribution of power in this nation. What is so bad about a young woman of color who has such a knack for making us white liberals uncomfortable enough to feel the pain of our white privilege causes others? She is speaking intersectionally, in other words. She thinks about how all the forms of oppression overlap. She is not fooled by a politician who claims to be feminist but will bomb women and children in another country, or one that leaves women of color behind. She will not accept legislation that makes most healthy people comfortable but leaves out people with disabilities. She isn't being divisive. We are the ones being divisive when our ideas of humanity doesn't include todos, everyone, la mayoría de la gente, toda la gente. Remember that. She speaks as a youth. The world belongs to young people in a way it does not belong to us older folk, who, when it comes to climate change, make the proverbial frogs boiling in water look prophetic. When Representative Ocasio-Cortez showed up at a protest in Representative Pelosi's office, she wasn't pooping on Democrats, to use Whoopi Goldberg's word about this young upstart. Representative Ocasio-Cortez was supporting young climate activists and trying to get Representative Pelosi to listen to them, period. Why is it disrespectful to question someone in authority, but not disrespectful to discount the youth voices who will have lived in the world being poisoned by our very comfortable compromise today? And that is the issue. Look at what we're leaving the millennials. Look at what we're leaving Gen Zs. Look at what we're leaving the unborn. We only care about ourselves. Those boomers, those Gen Xers. They don't want to pay those taxes because they don't want to clean up. But they're leaving their mess to the next generation. And Ocasio-Cortez say, we ain't taking it. We ain't taking it. And this Gen X baby boomer is going to be jumping right on her bandwagon and saying, Ocasio, how high do you need me to jump to help you do what you got to do? That is where we have to be. That is where we have to be. Now, it is our duty to critique Representative Ocasio-Cortez like everyone else in leadership. But before we have a right to criticize her, we first have a duty to hear what she is really saying. And that means we need to listen, not in our own context, but the context in which she speaks. And we liberals need to make damn sure that what most offends us most about Representative Ocasio-Cortez is not that she's disrespectful and arrogant, but that she is who we pretend to be, but really aren't. That was profound. When I read this man's piece, this minister's piece, I had to read it again. I'm like, he hits the nail on the head. He hit the nail on the head. And we have to be cognizant of what he's saying, and we have to accept what he's saying, because it is so true. I'm coming to line numero 111. Oops, wrong mouse. All right, let's go to line number 1. Come on in, my friend. Come on in. You're on.
Yes, my friend, Mr. Egberto. How are you, sir?
I am fine. Who is this again, Mike?
Yes, sir.
Great.
This is Mike from Singapore.
Talk to me, my friend.
Yes, my friend. The Cortez, the Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Yes.
I mean, I understand her without any problem. You understand her without any issues, because we have traveled a lot, and we have seen to be in other countries,
right.
And also we have traveled within the United States.
Right.
I mean, for a person in the United States that they have never been left their own city after 80 years, it's very hard to understand.
Absolutely.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. That's the problem.
You're absolutely right. But what the minister said, I really love what he said. He said what gives us more angst, and especially progressives more angst, is that she is all that we thought we were and aren't. Because what happens is this woman is speaking her values. She's speaking progressive values. And what many progressives have been doing over the last several decades are compromising. They compromised with Reagan. They compromised with Bush 1. They compromised with Bush 2. Barack Obama compromised with Reagan. Clinton compromised with Reagan. All because they thought Reagan's messaging was the message Americans wanted to hear. And even though the reality is that if you take a look at what Americans want, it has very little to do with what Reagan pushed, with what Republicans are pushing. It has so little to do with that. Folks, before I continue, please, I'd love to hear from more of you as well. 646-716-5812. Again, that number is 646-716-5812. Why don't you give a call and let me know what you're thinking? Let me know what your thoughts are. I'd love to hear from you. But continue. Go ahead, Mike.
Yes, my dear friend. Donald Trump today stopped billions of dollars going to California fires.
Right.
I mean, this is insanity. I mean, you don't take care of your own citizens. You don't give a damn about what happened in California, and now you take all the money because you want that wall. I don't know what is it behind the wall that he wants so bad. I think when he was a kid, maybe his dad didn't give him something, that he wanted.
Right.
And that's now, he goes back because his psychology, it goes to his childhood.
Right.
Something happened during, I am sure, all the psychologists, they can come and talk about it too. I'm sure something happens, my friend.
Well, let me give a quick shout out.
Because the wall is nothing.
Yeah.
Go ahead, please.
Before we continue with our conversation over the phone, again, folks, the number is 646-716-5812. Again, that number is 646-716-5812. I want to give a shout out to Kathleen Maureen Morgan. Welcome aboard. Michael Rudnin, welcome aboard. We also have Yolanda Gallagher. Welcome aboard. She says, see first immigration lawyer before talking. She does not have 245I, which alien should be here by December 3200 and filed by April 2001. She is deportable. If alien jump by the border, you are deportable. It is not an issue of humanitarian, but an issue of adherence to federal immigration law. Yolanda Gallagher, I see you are strict on your beliefs in your immigration policy. Here is the deal. First of all, I have no sympathy for those people who really just want to throw people out of the country. If I were controlling the borders, I would say, yes, we control the borders because you should have control of your borders so you can know who's in. If there are people that are coming in to malign your country or whatever, you should have some control. But my thing is, if a person that's a productive person makes it into this country, if they were able to defy all the protections that we have to come into this country and they stayed, I'll be darned if I'm going to try to get them out of this country. Because first of all, our country was not founded on great principles. Our country was not founded in asking the natives for a visa to stay here. We came over here and just took it. All right? We came to the United States. We came to
Absolutely.
we took the land. These people are coming over here just to get a job. These people are coming over here just to have a better life. So for all of you who want to be high and mighty and say they broke the law, remember your forefathers broke the law. Remember your forefathers came
Absolutely.
and took. Your forefathers came and killed. Your forefathers came and maimed. So when you hear Donald Trump saying, this criminal came in as an immigrant and he killed one person, that is terrible. That is horrendous that an immigrant may have killed one person. But many Americans are out there killing a hell of a lot of people, including our own law. The police officers themselves kill innocent people. So let's be clear here. I am not going to have sympathy for those who say they are breaking the law. The law is fungible. And why is the law fungible? First of all, our heritage should determine itself that the law is fungible. Okay, the people, when Donald Trump talks, they kill. Well, again, let's look at how many people, these people we revere. Look at how many generals we revere in our history books. The reverence we give them was for killing other human beings, slaughtering other human beings, and not in some humane way,
Truth.
in ways that are worse than they slaughtered pigs. So please, people, let's get our moral compass correct. Yes, we want to control our borders just so that we can know who is here. But if somebody was ingenious enough to get in here, we should want them here because it means they're ingenious people. Go ahead, Mike.
Right, and we should never forget about the Columbus, that
Yes.
when he came and found the United States of America, and first, within the hours, he took 13 Red Indians,
Yes.
and killed them and put it on the cross. Each side of the cross for the Jesus Christ.
Absolutely. Look, I don't want to, the thing that I don't accept, and I wish more immigrants would speak this way, because a lot of immigrants come to this country. I'm a naturalized citizen, and many others are naturalized citizens, and they come over here and they allow born Americans to let them feel like they're less than because they immigrated here. First of all, those of us who came to this country chose to come to this country. Okay? We chose the country. Some people are just here because haven't been born here. But they try to make, a lot of times, immigrants feel less than. My message to all
Truth.
immigrants, whether documented or undocumented, is to lift your head up high. You came to this country for benevolent reasons. You came to this country to make $1. You came to this country to have a good life. The original settlers of this country came to conquer. Other immigrants are not coming to conquer this land, but the original people who came here came to conquer this land under the name of the Queen. So let's be clear here. Let's be clear, who are the good people here? The good people aren't necessarily the original settlers. We became a good nation. We became a moral nation. We did not start as a moral nation. And until we get that frozen into our heads, specifically into the heads of born Americans, that no, we should be an open society with strong borders, but if immigrants somehow make it over here, just like your forefathers came over here without a visa, hey, all's good. Go ahead, Mike.
Yes, indeed. And, we need Medicare for all.
Absolutely.
We need a free education for everyone. Even a billionaire's son will get a free education. Why we are behind the Singapore? Singapore is 40 years ahead of the North America and Europe and Australia.
Well, the reason why. The reason why is simple: greed. It is greed and immorality. Okay. Somehow these people believe that they've earned the money that they have. And one of the tenets of this program as well is to remind very wealthy people that they're living off of the excess labor and the excess worth of other people. It's not their doing. It is just the system that was designed in such a manner that they could legally take advantage of others. I am not one who reveres rich people. I am not the one who reveres politicians or reveres superstars and all of that. The reality is they don't mean much to me. The people that mean much to me is you, the average American citizen walking around. That is who I revere. That is who I hold my loyalty to. That is who I fight for.
Absolutely.
That is who I fight for. Those are the real people, because we are the ones that make the system work.
Exactly. And up to today, Donald J. Trump is anywhere that he's making a building right now. Today, illegal immigrants are working for him.
Yes, of course. Of course.
And it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense, my friend.
Sir, Donald Trump does not have a moral compass. Donald Trump has zero morality. In fact, as somebody mentioned recently, Donald Trump is amoral, meaning there's nothing there. It's all empty. He's like one of those insects that don't really have a brain that process. It's just one neuron fires based on some other neuron that fires. That is Donald Trump. And we have to realize that many Americans have been turned into that. And they've been turned into that specifically because progressives because there haven't been a lot of progressives with the wherewithal that we see from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez or from Ilma Omar or from Talib, I don't remember her last name, but all these new
Rashid Talib.
Yeah, Rashid Talib. All these new people that are coming into the fold. And my goal, our expectation, right, is to get a whole lot of new people coming that change the paradigm. The paradigm that we have, the patriarchy, the paradigm that we have that somehow capital is worth more than people, the paradigm that we have that somehow these executives are worth that much more or even more than the folks who produce. We have to flip that paradigm. It's not going to be a quick flip because even those people at the bottom, even those people that are sweeping the floors or those people that are designing a printer for a Hewlett-Packard or whatever, they sit back down and somehow, because of how they were indoctrinated, the things that were put into them, they do believe that somehow those people above them, those execs above them, somehow have more value, which is the other way around. The execs are playing with the numbers while these other people are doing the work. These other people are doing the things that matter. That an engineer makes $100,000 and his executive or the VP is making $500,000 is ridiculous. Because if that engineer could then produce the product that VP could run a sales force to sell, he couldn't make the money. That is the excess labor of the engineer. And we have, and one of the things I'm writing in my book, and let me go ahead and put that on the screen right now. Those are the sort of things that are going to be making it into the book, and it's important, right? Because how to make America utopia really just means making America fair, making it a fairer country again. Right? That is what we want. So, by the way, folks, if you really want us to move forward, I want to ask you to go ahead and support programs like these, independent media like these. Please go to patreon.com/politicsdoneright. Again, that is patreon.com/politicsdoneright. And subscribe to this program. Make sure that we can keep this program on air. Make sure that we can keep it out. This program is here 5 days a week, 4 days here in this studio, and 1 day in the studio in Montrose at KPFT 90.1 FM, where we are on air on the 100,000 watt transmitter that goes throughout Southeast Texas, the only real progressive station throughout the entire Southeast Texas. So please support us, support Politics Done Right here. at patreon.com/politicsdoneright. And if you just want to give a one-time contribution, you can always go to politicsdoneright.com. Again, that is politicsdoneright.com. But it's so important. It is so important for us to reclaim. Let me get to another caller. I'll keep you hot, but come on in. Let's see. Number 803, come on in. You're hot.
Hi, Egberto.
Hello.
I just want to mention a few things that the Democrats need to focus on.
Please do.
When the Republicans say that Democrats are not for border security, they need to reiterate that we need to fix visa overstays.
Right.
We need to increase funding for border control.
Right.
We need to increase border inspections for illegal drugs that are coming into the country. That was one thing that Trump was laser focused on last night in the speech, was drugs being brought into the country.
Right.
The drugs aren't coming from the southern border to begin with.
Right.
And when they do come in from the southern border, they're coming in vehicles.
Exactly.
They're not being brought over by people crossing the border illegally. So we want border security, but we want border security that works.
Thank you.
We have the technology. You know, let's make our border security like Steve Austin, the $6 million man. You know, let's make it better, stronger, and faster.
I haven't heard about the $6 million man.
Let's find something that works.
Yeah. Look, what is your name, ma'am?
I mean, we have robots
Yes.
already, and we have robots. We have everything. We have drones with missile or without missiles. We have everything in our hands right now.
We just have
when Amazon bringing the robots, so she's right.
Yes.
But we don't need a wall with $10 billion wall.
But you know what is so
$10
funny?
$10 billion would be paid
Mike,
for the people of USA.
Mike, let me tell you what the people from Homeland Security said. They said they don't even want a wall because they can't see what's behind the wall, right? They'll have to be on top of the wall to see what's behind the wall. I mean, if somebody decide that they're going to send a missile through the wall or a cruise, they can't see anything. But anyhow, what's your name, ma'am?
Oh, my name is Fairy Mock.
Thank you so kindly for calling in. And what else would you like to add? You said you had a whole lot of things that Democrats better start doing.
Well, when we first started, when we built the what was it, 700 miles of border fencing
Yes, ma'am.
in 2006, the eminent domain process for that section of the border fencing was severely flawed. People did not get fair value for their property unless you had enough money to hire an attorney
Right.
to negotiate
Right.
with the government lawyers. In some cases, people received money for property that they didn't even own.
Oh, really?
And they didn't have to give the money back.
You're kidding me.
No.
hadn't heard that
I
one
read
at
an
all.
article this morning. It was in an El Paso newspaper.
Uh-huh.
And I cannot remember. It might have been the El Paso Sentinel. I
Right,
can't
that's
remember the
probably
name
what
of
it
it.
is. Yeah.
But yes, that process was severely flawed. So before we, take on additional expenses for border fencing, we need to make sure that our eminent domain process is working correctly and working the way that the law was written.
You know what is so
to have it
interesting
done.
with what you're saying, which is so important. We can't really, even, they've been talking about Trump may just go ahead and declare an emergency. From what you're saying, an emergency couldn't even be declared because nothing that they could do in the short term would be able to mitigate all those things that you're talking about, both eminent domain before they can build a wall and how long it takes to build a wall. So it's really not a national emergency at all. And we probably need to start, calling them out on that. By the way, what city are you calling from?
I'm calling from Columbia, South Carolina.
So Columbia, South Carolina, great to hear from you. Is the border a big thing in South Carolina as well?
South Carolina is a heavily agrarian state. We we depend on our migrant workers to come in the spring and the fall to pick produce like peaches, cucumbers. We really depend on our immigrant workers. We have a huge tourism industry along the coast of South Carolina. A lot of the people that work in the hotels from, March to September,
right,
they are immigrant workers coming in to work for the tourist season.
That is amazing. And, we
need these people here.
Absolutely. And, Kathleen Morin Morgan just made an important statement. I got to be honest, I hadn't even thought about this, Kathleen. She says, one issue with the border wall that is not addressed is the impact it will have on animals that migrate. Animals know nothing about borders. They just know about habitat. And, she's so right. That hasn't been taken into account. What would you do with the animals that migrate over from Mexico to the United States, et cetera? A lot of that has to be researched before they can just go ahead and do that. Michael Rudden says the motivation behind the wall, it is a code phrase for xenophobia. And he's absolutely correct. He's actually correct about that.
Speaking of animal migration, there is a federally funded butterfly research center and sanctuary that the wall is scheduled to pass right through.
There you go.
It's going to go right through that butterfly sanctuary. And I'm going to say one more thing, and then I'm going to get off and let somebody else call you. The other issue with our immigration problems is that we have businesses and corporations that are hiring undocumented workers at below market wages.
Right.
These people are being mistreated. They are working extremely dangerous jobs, either in, agricultural work can be dangerous.
Right.
If you're working in a meat packing plant, you have the issue of repetitive injury.
Right.
And these businesses are hiring undocumented workers. They are making a profit from not paying these people fair market wage, and then they are never sanctioned or punished in any way, not in a meaningful way, when it's discovered that they have undocumented workers in their business.
Actually,
I think that's another thing that needs to be corrected.
I am glad that you said that. But look, thank you so kindly for calling in. We are at the end of the show. We started a little bit late today because we had some connection issues with our first segment. But look, thank you guys. Thank you both for calling in. I'd love to see more people.
Thank you.
Thank you so kindly.
God bless you, Egberto, my friend.
Thank you, everybody. You guys have a wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you so kindly for calling in, folks.
Thank you.
Please remember that this is a call-in show, and I love when I get callers to add their point of view, because I tell you what, I learned a lot, just like I learned for today that in El Paso, some people got paid for land they didn't own after they got the fence going through it. But anyhow, folks, this is Politics Done Right. I'd like you to consider subscribing to our program. Go to patreon.com/politicsdoneright. Look, we are an independent program, and we are going to tell you things that the mainstream media simply can't tell you because they're beholden to the corporate state, to the corporations. I mean, you can't really blame them if that's what they depend for advertising. In our case, our only support is towards you. We can only do things we only do things for you, period. So please go ahead and go to patreon.com, patreon.com/politicsdoneright to subscribe. Again, subscription starts at anywhere from $1 and up. You choose what you want, how generous you want to do, how much you want to invest in making sure the liberal message gets out there, the progressive message gets out there, truthful message get out there. If you want to just do it one time, please go to politicsdoneright.com and just click on the donate button. So look, thank you so kindly for having been here. You know who I am. I'm Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right, and you know how I end this, baby. I am, guess what? Out!
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is, at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3, 4.